Well,
you know what I'm saying?
He was charged with regards to Wolf, Diddy's one-time associate bodyguard, but the charges are dropped. Not enough evidence, right? If memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, but he caught one of them, though. Big Meech caught one of them that night.
Shot in that.
You know, and you know what that, not to flip the script, but you know what all that was over, right?
Remind us. I forget.
Maya.
Oh, the singer, Maya.
Maya was with Big Meech and all them in the club. Okay. And Wolf and Puff, they walk in there, trying to talk to her. They like, nah, bro, she with us. They kept on pressing her. You're like, no, man, she with us. And then they went outside and it went down. So all that was over Maya.
Wolf's mother let me hear something that the what they call it, the drug enforcement, the prosecutor from Atlanta, that Puff told Meech, go ahead and do what you got to do. When him and Wolf and them was beefing outside, I heard Wolf say out of his mouth, I'ma show you them niggas ain't that. I knew he was building up the atmosphere between Meech and Wolf to go at it. Do you hear me? Wolf get killed by some kids from BMF.
Alright, y'all, now I figure since all this Diddy propaganda is going around and he got his trial going on right now, what better time would it be to speak on his former bodyguard Anthony Wolf Jones's mysterious death, as he was shot during an altercation involving BMF, which was one of the strongest drug organizations at the time. Now, I called it mysterious because there's a lot of theories behind his passing, whereas some people blame BMF and Big Meech in them, while others say that Diddy himself may have allegedly had a hand in it, and he acted as if he didn't know nothing about it. This would be the same altercation that resulted in Big Meech himself getting shot for the first time in his butt. So before we get into the video, we're going to discuss those theories real quick so you guys can get an understanding of who Wolf the bodyguard actually was. Now, the regular story floating around is that Wolf got into an altercation in the parking lot of a nightclub in Buckhead, Atlanta around 4 a.m. back in November of 2003. The story goes that he got into an altercation over a woman. He went to get a firearm and got a friend, and when he approached the individual, they got into a shootout in which Wolf was shot unalive along with that friend. Now, it's been rumored that someone went in the club that night and allegedly told Diddy what was going on, and Diddy shrugged it off and acted as if he didn't care what was about to happen to his bodyguard when he could have stopped it. Right? Now, keep in mind, this is a legend. Now, another theory is that the person Wolf got into it with in the parking lot was allegedly Big Meech himself. Big Meech that night was shot in the butt, and afterwards he was accused of being a gunman that unalived Wolf and his friend. However, he was acquitted and let go due to the lack of evidence against him in that shooting. So yes, he was actually locked up for it and charged, but they didn't have enough evidence, so they had to let him go. To this day, nobody has been caught for the shooting, and it's kind of strange. Now, ironically, something like that will happen in the parking lot where everybody is at and nobody came forward to say anything of which they saw. That says a lot. It's not like it is today, because you would think that being that it was in a big parking lot, there will also be surveillance footage that will come out of the altercation, but no, it never came out, and to this day, like I said, nobody have been charged. Now, recently, Big Meech's brother Terry Flannery is in the works of doing a documentary. During the documentary, they released like a 10-minute trailer where he stated how they would give Wolf kilos, and y'all should know what I mean. And they did that just days before he was unalive. So if that's true, why would Meech or anybody a part of BMF want to take his life? Especially being that they got pictures together, the whole 9 yards. Unless it was just one of those misunderstandings that got blown out of proportion, liquor involved, and y'all know how that goes. But now that you got a little backstory, let's get into the video. Shout out to Dose of Mystery. I'll leave a link to their platform in the comments. But before we get into it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm. And if you not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it.
Friends will push you further than your enemies.
This is about some gang know, some like this girl knocks Wolf hats off in the club. She was actually pregnant by Wolf.
When they came outside, they said he got the shooting, and you know, unfortunately, he lost his life.
On November 10th, 2003, Atlanta, Georgia was still riding high off its crown as the South's new hip-hop capital. But for Anthony Wolf Jones, this night would be his last.
They were at a party, and it was a young lady that was actually pregnant by Wolf. You know, she was over there with another dude, and Wolf said something to her, and she came and knocked his hat off his head, and Wolf snatched her up.
Wolf pulled up to Club Chaos, a hot...
Yo, you know what's crazy? What I always tell y'all, yo, how many guys done lost their life or in jail all because of a woman? Fellas, let me tell y'all something. You know the problem is, it usually start over a woman, but then you may get into an altercation with another man and something is said that's a little slick or disrespectful, and then boom, it's over. So it may seem like it started over a woman, and if it hit the headlines, they're going to say, oh, a woman, it started over a woman. But 9 times out of 10, a lot of times, it's not that the person was unalived over the woman. It's what was said after the initial contact or whatever after the woman. So yeah, it may have been because of her. But if I go and we talking and you say something to the extent of you going to do something to me, now the woman is out the picture. Now we talking as men, and it could go far.
Spot in Buckhead, where the streets and the stars often cross paths. The club was packed, and the head of the infamous Black Mafia family, Big Meech, was holding court with his people. But Wolf wasn't just there at the party. Word is, he was chasing something personal, a woman from his past, an ex-girlfriend that was hanging out with the guy in Big Meech's circle.
But she was with this other dude, and she 3-4 months pregnant by Wolf. So she's with this other kid fronting with this kid when she actually really wanted Wolf.
What happened inside the club depends on who you ask, but what's clear is this: Wolf got into it with the woman loudly. Big Meech stepped in to protect her.
She comes, knocks his hat off, he grabs up. So Meech says something to him, but when do you start talking to Wolf, you know, like that?
Some say
now you got to remember, right? Meech is who Meech is. One of the biggest, we can't even say alleged because he done got locked up, did his time for it. Meech is Meech. So, you know, his pride and ego is through the roof. We all hear about Meech, like, you know, his ego being out the door. So we already know what type of time he on. However, Wolf, for y'all that don't know who Wolf is, he's a guy from New York. Back in the days, he definitely was one of them guys. Street guy at that. So at the end of the day, Meech is who he is, I guess in Atlanta or wherever it is. But Wolf is who Wolf is. Not about the money. He just got the power and the pull, right? So you can see where the clash of egos and pride may come in, to where he's trying to defend a girl, but he's like, yo, I got her pregnant. Why are you? Mind your business. See how I'm telling you, these women.
Meech swung first. Others say Wolf wouldn't back down, but by the time security broke it up, Wolf was the one getting tossed out into the streets. Now, the party was still going strong inside, but outside, the air was changing. By 4 a.m., Club Chaos was shutting down. Meech and his bodyguard headed out to their SUV, thinking the night was over. But Wolf and his friend, Riz, were already out there, waiting. Both were strapped, both were heated. Wolf hadn't calmed down since the fight in the club. If anything, he'd gotten more reckless. Word is, they weren't just planning to talk. What happened next wasn't caught on camera, but the aftermath spoke loud and clear.
Now, how crazy is that, right? None of that caught on camera with this whole big parking lot. You mean to tell me there was no camera that caught any of that was going on outside the club?
Words were exchanged, voices rose, and then all hell broke loose.
Wolf decide to, when they come outside, he shoots at Meech and them, which caught Meech in his buttocks. If you get caught in the buttocks, you're going in the opposite direction. So you didn't want it. Meech ain't want to do nothing to him because Meech had enough people and he had enough crew outside that he could handle that stuff.
Gunshots ripped through the early morning dark. Dozens of rounds flew across the asphalt. Shells bounced off pavement. Clubgoers ducked behind cars. The chaos was instant. violent, aggressive, and loud. Meech had taken a bullet to the back, but was still alive. Then, a man that Wolf knew began to approach him. He was someone Wolf had brought into the fold, a friend, someone he had personally introduced to Black Mafia family as muscle for hire. That night, as he approached Wolf in the parking lot, Wolf didn't draw his weapon. He didn't feel threatened. He didn't expect retaliations, because in his mind, this was someone he trusted. But that trust cost him his life.
He was in a shootout with a couple of guys from BMF, and allegedly the guy he put down with BMF is the one got close enough to kill.
Without one.
How crazy is that? You know what's crazy? I forgot to mention this in the beginning as well. They did say it was a rumor, and it's kind of true, because to get close enough to Wolf, he was a street cat. You wasn't just getting close to him. As you can see, they said that he shot first when Meech and his bodyguard came out. So, like he said, what happened was, it's rumored that somebody that he introduced to BMF was the one that got close to him and actually unalived him and the other guy. How crazy is that? I'll put you down, but you know what the problem is? A lot of these guys, their loyalty is to the money. Big Meech and them had money, they had power, but more than power, they had money. So in his head, he's like, well, if I do this, I should be set for life. If I could prove this point to them and make myself look it, I'll be set for life. And of course, you had Wolf, he trusted him because he said, well, you know, why would he do anything to me when I put him down with them? If anything, he should be on our side, right? Wrong.
Warning, and with full access to get close, the shooter turned on Wolf, point blank, no hesitation, no warning shot, just cold, efficient betrayal.
When Meech came out, it was a brief little shootout. And then the dude that Wolf put down with Meech and them, kid that was from Brooklyn, he was walking toward Wolf and them. So Wolf and them like, yo.
See, for y'all out there, for my New York people out there that know anything about Brooklyn, let me tell you, I love Brooklyn to death. But Brooklyn get grimy. That's all I had to hear. All I had to hear was that guy was from Brooklyn. It makes perfect sense.
I guess they like, that's my man and everything like that, but damn, now he working for Meech and them, and he shot Wolf and Riz.
When it stopped, two men were down. Wolf lay wounded, bleeding into the pavement. Riz was already gone. He was shot on the scene. When paramedics arrived, they found a scene straight out of a movie. Bodies on the ground, bullet casings everywhere, blood staining the concrete beneath the Atlanta skyline. Wolf was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital. He didn't make it. Anthony Wolf Jones was pronounced dead that morning. He was 36. The morning after the Club Chaos shooting, Atlanta woke up to a headline straight out of a crime novel. 2 deceased, Big Meech wounded, Diddy's former bodyguard gone. The news hit hard, not just in the streets, but in boardrooms, studios, and corner stores across the country. Because Anthony Wolf Jones wasn't just another name caught in the cycle. He was a known figure, feared, respected, connected. On November 19th, 2003, the Riverside Church in Upper Manhattan filled with mourners, family, friends, bad boy affiliates. Sean P. Diddy Combs, who was rumored to pay for the farewell service, slipped in through a side entrance. No press, no statements, just presence. Strange, given they had been so close while Wolf had been alive.
Now, also, remember I told y'all in the beginning that there was a lot of rumors about Diddy having knowledge about what was going down. Basically, they're saying that Diddy could have stopped all that, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, Wolf was there with Diddy, right? They're saying, I don't know how true it is, right? I could be wrong. I wasn't there. This is just the rumors that they're saying. They're saying that Diddy was present and he could have stopped whatever that was about to transpire, but he didn't, right? Because he knew mutual parties. Now, as you can see right here, also, the daughter of Anthony Wolf Jones, Puffy's bodyguard, speaks on Diddy never reaching out to her. Now, if that was your bodyguard, that was your man, you know, $100,000, why wouldn't you reach out to his daughter at least? Somebody in his family at least. That's the least you can do. Unless, you know.
At least, according to some.
Wolf was not really security. Wolf was one of the individuals that gave Bad Boy their starting money. He was getting a security check for Social Security reasons and all that.
Anthony Wolf Jones was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, a product of Eldenwald projects, the kind of neighborhood where respect came fast, or not at all. And Wolf, he earned his early. Even as a teenager, people said Wolf was different, calculated, cool under pressure. But don't get it twisted, he was built for confrontation.
As if he worked security. Yes, Wolf was a gangster. So Wolf was not really security, but he's security because who he is.
So that would make sense. Y'all know them guys that's around these crews where it's not like they're official bodyguards, but it's like their name and reputation in the streets make it to whereas nothing's going to happen to you or anybody if they're around, basically. So they're not like official security. They're like unofficial security without saying it, without the title.
He didn't have to work he didn't have no schedule to work. Wolf was just with Puff at the parties and at the events. You know what I mean?
He came up alongside Sean Diddy Combs, back when Bad Boy Records was more hustle than empire. As Puff built the label, Wolf was right there beside him, not in the studio, but in the shadows. Wolf wasn't just the bodyguard. He was a fixer, a protector, the kind of man who walked into a room and didn't have to speak to command attention. He was muscle.
A loud shout, and it was like, now what, Slick? Now what, Slick? Slick, now what? I looked over there, it was this guy, Wolf, that I didn't know at the time, in the middle of the party, and everybody running crazy. You know what I'm saying? It appeared to me that he may have did the shooting in the air, but I didn't know for sure.
In 1995, Wolf was allegedly involved in the hit of Jake Robles, a known affiliate of Sh0t and Death Row Records. It happened in Atlanta. A party, an argument, a gun. Jake was shot and hit. Police suspected Wolf. He was never charged, but some say that night lit the match on the East Coast West Coast rap war.
Did they ever find out who?
Well, the guy that's supposed to kill him is supposed to be now.
Wolf?
Yeah.
Who was Puffy's right-hand man.
Yeah.
His muscle.
Yeah.
His name made national news again in 1990.
Now, as far as that situation, because they didn't elaborate, right? The reason why they said that was like the start of the whole East Coast, West Coast thing, the J guy was Suge's muscle. Suge's unofficial security guard. What happened was him and I believe Wolf got into it, and Wolf allegedly unalived him. And after that happened, they said Suge went up to Diddy and told Diddy, this is your fault. And ever since then, it was on.
99, Club New York, that infamous night with Puff, J-Lo, and rapper Shine. Gunfire, chaos, 3 people shot. Wolf and Diddy were arrested together, guns found in the car. The trial was a media circus. But in 2001, Diddy walked, and so did Wolf, acquitted, loyal to the end. After that, Wolf was supposed to be done with the drama. He told his lawyer he was ready to turn the page.
When everything is good, everything is good. But Wolf was a boss, you understand? Wolf just wasn't no security type dude. Wolf had admirations to do things bigger and better.
But instead of leaving the life behind, he took it to Atlanta, the new hip-hop capital, and home to one of the most powerful street organizations in America, the Black Mafia family. Wolf linked up with Big Meech, the face of BMF. Their friendship ran deep. Both were larger than life. Both knew how to move in silence, but shine in the spotlight. Together, they partied with rappers, hosted VIP nights, and, according to law enforcement, rubbed shoulders with some of the biggest names in dope trafficking.
You know, Corey is released now. He had admirations to own a club. He was trying to get this club down in Miami with John Sally's brother, Mike Sally. I think it was 321, 123, 321, something like it was over on Lincoln Avenue. It's where Jennifer Lopez gave Puff his birthday party at. So I think they had a chance to buy it, and Wolf wanted his money.
Wolf was never officially listed as a BMF member, but make no mistake, he was in the circle. Rumor is, he had even introduced the guy that shot him to Big Meech.
The dude who got close to Wolf was the dude who that he put down with BMF. It was his dude from Brooklyn that he put down because he needed some money. He was a shooter. Yo, Meech, look out for my man. Put him on your payroll. You need somebody to do work for you, just like that. Whoop they whoop. He did that. You understand? And that's the dude who shot him in ribs.
Officially, the Club Chaos shooting was just another nightclub fight that spiraled out of control. Unofficially, the streets told a different story. The first theory was simple: pride. According to witnesses, it started over a woman.
He wasn't there. Somebody called him and told him that this girl was over there. So he came from where he was. I think he was at Magic City. He came from over there to come here to grab this girl up.
Despite being pregnant with Wolf's child, she was hanging out with someone in Meech's circle. And
see, but woman, you see that? You see that? You see how devious some of these women could be? They said that she was pregnant with his children or a child, whatever. And she's in the club. What are you doing in the club pregnant with another man? So I'm not sure of their relationship, right? So I can't say she was cheating or she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. The only thing I could say is you should not be in the club with any man if you are pregnant.
Someone called Wolf and told him that they spotted her at the club. When he pulled up, things got heated and spiraled out of control.
I knew the young lady who they got into it with, and I wouldn't say she was, and I think Wolf was really in love with her. We all just had a trip together overseas. We were all Americans. Wow. And so, he was in his feelings about that. Was his girl.
So yeah.
Oh, so yeah. No wonder why. It's not like one of these little random short. First and foremost, if he impregnated her, 9 times out of 10, she's not just some regular random chick. So the fact that she was in a club with another man pregnant after they already went to a trip overseas and he's showing her off like, yo, this is my girl. Of course he was mad.
Maybe it was about a woman, but some believe that wasn't the whole story. In the streets, trust isn't always what you can prove. It's what people believe. And when Anthony Wolf Jones was gunned down in that parking lot, one name kept coming up: Sean Diddy Combs. The theory that the man who Wolf once protected may have wanted him gone. The bond between Wolf and Diddy was deeper than most bodyguard artist relationships. Wolf had been Diddy's enforcer for years, took charges for him, beat trials with him, loyal to the bone. But after that 1999 Club New York shooting, when Shine took the fall and Diddy walked free, some people say Wolf started drifting away. After the trial, Diddy distanced himself from the street element that helped build Bad Boy, and Wolf, he was the streets. Now, on the surface, Wolf and Diddy had history. Wolf was more than a bodyguard. He was a partner in the grind. But here's where things get sticky. Back in the early days of Bad Boy, when it was just starting out, Wolf fronted Diddy $300,000, his own money, an investment, a show of loyalty. He believed in the vision and he put skin in the game. But as time went on, that debt stayed unpaid. Wolf wanted to do his own thing, branch out, stand on his own name. So he asked for it back. No threats, no retaliations, just business. But Diddy kept giving him the runaround, excuses, delays, promises that never came through. And Wolf, he wasn't the kind of man you could play games with.
Puff was putting a battery in Wolf back, talking about, I don't need you no more. When I get this, do this Universal deal, I'm gonna give you $300,000 and leave you the f alone. Wolf said, you could never leave me alone. You understand? He said, but them guys ain't tough like you think they are. So he putting a battery in this kid's back.
Some say that the money became the line in the sand. Wolf felt disrespected, used. Loyalty only goes so far when someone's holding your bread hostage.
He wanted to move on and he needed his money, I guess, that he put up, or, Wolf said it was $300,000. I heard from a couple other people it was probably a little bit more than that. But Wolf, I heard him say in the office, I had $300,000, man, when I first started messing with you, bro. I had $300,000. You understand? And I just want my money. I'm gonna stop. And then Puff said, yo, I'm gonna get your money. I'm gonna get your money. When I do this Universal, I think, Universal deal or something like that, he said, I'm gonna get your money. And he said that when I get your money, I'm gonna stop with you. And Wolf said, you gonna always with me. And they start like wrestling. Wolf started roughing him over in the office. I was laughing.
When Wolf moved.
See? Now, how much times have we heard of this same situation be a pattern within that industry? Where somebody owes somebody money or supposed to give them some type of money, or money is on the table and suddenly people go missing. Here's another theory, being that we already put this on the table. Here's another theory about money involving Diddy, involving Alpo, involving a lot of people, right? Allegedly, Alpo was supposed to get this big check for y'all. Y'all know the infamous drug kingpin from Harlem, Alpo, who unalived his friend. Y'all know the whole story, right? Allegedly, his whole time after he got out, he was fishing for this movie deal or whatever deal that he was supposed to get, right? When he finally got this big check that he was supposed to get from, I think, Netflix, and I think Mary J helped him, and Diddy's, what's her name? Meech, something like that, who is Justin Combs' mother, and which we'll get into again later. Wow, y'all see. Anyway, they're saying that they helped Alpo because Alpo was messing with Meech, and they got him that check. And allegedly, because we don't know how true this is, Diddy was mad that Alpo was messing with Meech, and let's just say Alpo isn't here anymore. to put it all in a nutshell, let me tell you, there's no sense in just keep going forward. Alpo was supposed to get this big check. They said as soon as he got it, he was unalive. Simple as that. I'll leave it at that. Y'all do whatever y'all do with that.
Moved down to Atlanta, he wasn't just relocating. He was building new alliances, getting close to Big Meech, linking up with BMF, making moves without Diddy.
You know what I'm saying? But they have relationships. They traveled went to Africa and hung out on boats and stuff like that.
Some folks say that didn't sit right. There's talk Diddy felt exposed, so Diddy reached out to Big Meech and talked about hiring them as his new muscle, icing Wolf out.
But Wolf don't care. He said, yo, them niggas ain't like that. I'm telling you. He ain't like that. You understand? What Pop was talking about, I don't need you no more. I don't need you no more. You understand? I'm good.
And right before Wolf was a former Bad Boy exec filed a lawsuit that pulled everything back up, said Diddy had ordered Wolf to kill Robles in the first place, putting that in writing in court. And weeks later, Wolf was... Coincidence? Maybe. But for some, the timing was too perfect.
Oh, see? Once again, Diddy being behind the situation where allegedly they're saying he ordered a hit on the Jake guy, in which that's where it came from with Wolf. Oh, so that's why Sh0t told him this is your fault. Whether he ordered it or not, I guess Sh0t felt, well, this is your guy. Put him on a leash, right? I don't mean to say it like that, but yo, this is your guy. You supposed to stop that. You supposed to make sure this don't happen. Now, this is your fault.
Not only that, but rumors also began to spread that Wolf wasn't just Diddy's bodyguard. He was the real father of Justin Combs, Diddy's oldest son. Justin was born in 1993, around the time when Wolf was closest to Diddy, working security, moving in the bad boy circle, and protecting the empire from the ground up. And the mother, Misa Hilton, a stylist and designer with ties to both men. People close to the situation noticed the timing, noted the resemblance, and most of all, they remembered how personal things started to feel between Wolf and Diddy in the years that followed.
How do your son look just like your best friend / bodyguard / man who gave you $300,000 to help Bad Boy get started?
After Wolf's death, Atlanta police moved quickly. Dimitri.
Now, before we're not just going to skip over that part. That's the part I wanted to get to. Now, Meech is Justin's Combs' mother. Meech is also, or was also, the girlfriend of Diddy at the time, in which I guess they would say is his baby mother. Follow us, right? Follow. Now, around that same time, Wolf and Diddy was kind of like, beefing with each other. But he was Diddy's bodyguard, but he was close. They're saying that. First of all, look at this picture right here. Y'all see this picture of Justin and Wolf, right? Now look at Diddy and look at Justin. I'm not even going to say anything. I want y'all to put in the comments who he looked like more, right? Now, if you look at all the Diddy kids, from his daughters to his son, everybody else, Diddy has very, 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 very strong genes. All his kids, look, there's no denying them, except for Justin. Right? So, like I said, it was a running rumor that the beef between Diddy and Wolf was a lot deeper than people thought, which is why the night they're saying that Diddy may have been at that club, he could have stopped whatever was going down. Now, once again, I'm not sure if he was there or not. The rumor is that Diddy had control over stopping whatever was going to transpire that night, and he did. Somebody told him, yo, we're about to do such and such to Wolf, and he said he didn't care.
Big Meech, Tenori, and his bodyguard, Amin Bull Height, were both arrested. Within hours of checking into a hospital with gunshot wounds, Meech had taken one to the backside. Height was also hit. Both were treated, then booked for counts of homicide. It looked like an open and shut case. They had suspects, they had motive, they had bullets. But what they didn't have was witnesses, clubgoers, security, employees. Nobody wanted to talk because by 2003, BMF had a reputation. Even when police knew who was likely responsible, they couldn't prove it. Meech claimed self-defense, said Wolf and Riz ambushed him, that he was leaving the club and they were waiting, that they drew first and he shot back. And with no witnesses, no video footage, no forensic gun, prosecutors had to let the case go. The hit charges were dropped quietly, no trial, no justice.
See, let me tell y'all something. Do you see how easy it is to get away with, and I don't want to encourage this. I'm not encouraging you going out there doing anything foul in any way, shape, or form. But do you see how easy it is to get away with doing something like that? No witnesses, no surveillance, no weapon. We gotta let them go. Simple as that. Oh, and nobody talking, no witnesses, because these days, everybody talking. But no witnesses, no weapon, no surveillance, no none of that. DNA, none of that. And yeah, he got off on it, which is crazy.
Was his murder solved? So it's unsolved. But you heard the same rumors I heard. Yeah, right? I know.
Just another case swallowed up by fear, silence, and the
So that's pretty much it, man. It is kind of crazy, the fact that happened in the open, like I said earlier, and nobody came forward at all. I mean, nobody. How crazy is that, right? And with the surveillance footage, you can't tell me a big parking lot like that, a big club like Club Chaos at the time, with surrounding stores, you mean to tell me nowhere captured that? I'm not even expecting anybody to have it on their phones, because y'all gotta remember this was 2003. The camera phones wasn't too big like that how it is now, so I get that part. But surveillance footage? Crazy, man. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about all this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. I'm out.